Imagine being declared dead, lifeless, submerged underwater for over 15 minutes. No air, no pulse, no chance of survival. Yet, what if death wasn't the end? Dr. Mary Neal, a respected surgeon, lived this unimaginable reality during a kayaking accident in Chile. But her return wasn't just a medical miracle, it was a message from heaven. She came back with vivid details of what she saw on the other side, encounters with divine beings, and a chilling prophecy about the future of humanity. This isn't just a story about surviving the impossible. It's about what she brought back, a message too urgent to ignore. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to subscribe Soul Info and hit the like button to support our efforts in bringing you these life-changing stories and spiritual insights. Dr. Mary Neal's life took a dramatic turn during a kayaking expedition to the wild rivers of Chile. As an experienced kayaker, she sought adventure and the thrill of navigating nature's raw power. On a crisp morning, she and her group prepared to tackle one of the river's most challenging sections, a stretch known for its ferocity and unpredictability. Dr. Neal, confident in her skills, felt ready for the challenge ahead. The river, however, had its own plans. As her kayak approached a narrow, turbulent passage, the water's intensity became undeniable. It was clear this section was unlike anything she had encountered before. The rushing currents twisted and churned with a force that even seasoned kayakers would find daunting. Despite her expertise, an unexpected surge flipped her kayak, pinning her underwater. For her group, the sight of her struggling was gut-wrenching. They sprang into action, desperately trying to free her from the grip of the river. Dr. Neal herself recalled the moment her kayak lodged against underwater rocks, trapping her. Though she tried to calm her panic and focus on escaping, the unrelenting pressure of the water proved insurmountable. The battle against the river felt both eternal and fleeting as she realized her oxygen was depleting rapidly. Her companion's efforts to rescue her grew increasingly frantic. Minutes stretched unbearably, and with no signs of movement, the gravity of the situation began to sink in. Dr. Neal's body was submerged for over 15 minutes, a length of time no one could survive without air. Eventually, her friends managed to free her and pull her lifeless body to the surface. Yet, what seemed like the end of her story was only the beginning. The 15 minutes Dr. Mary Neal spent submerged underwater were pivotal, marking the boundary between life and death. From a medical perspective, the odds were insurmountable. The human brain typically begins to sustain irreversible damage after just a few minutes without oxygen. Yet, Dr. Neal's case defied all logic. As the water forced her under, she vividly recalled a sense of separation from her physical body. Rather than the panic and terror she initially felt, a deep calm overtook her. It wasn't simply resignation. It was as if she was being cradled by an unseen force. She described a sensation of floating, even as she was aware of her body trapped and struggling against the current. Time, as she knew it, seemed to dissolve. Dr. Neal later recounted that her senses became sharper during this period, but in a way that was profoundly different from anything she had experienced before. She could see the river, the rocks, and her companions, but not through her eyes. It was an out-of-body awareness, one that transcended physical limitations. Simultaneously, she felt the presence of beings, an indescribable warmth and guidance enveloping her. Though she couldn't see them clearly, their presence provided immense peace and reassurance. For her friends on the surface, those minutes were agonizing. They knew every second mattered, and the longer she remained submerged, the slimmer her chances of survival became. Yet, what they couldn't see was that Dr. Neal wasn't experiencing terror. Instead, she was crossing into a realm she described as more vivid and alive than anything on Earth. When Dr. Neal's body was finally pulled from the water, it was lifeless. Her companions, paramedics, and later medical professionals all confirmed the grim reality. She was unresponsive, cold, and exhibited no signs of life. By all conventional medical standards, she was dead. The process of attempting resuscitation was both desperate and heartbreaking. Her friends performed CPR as soon as they brought her to shore, but given the amount of time she had spent underwater, hope was fading quickly. The likelihood of reviving her seemed impossible, let alone reviving her without severe neurological damage. Still, they continued, driven by the slimmest chance of a miracle. Dr. Neal, however, wasn't aware of these efforts in the traditional sense. At the same time her body lay on the riverbank, she described feeling entirely detached from it. She'd see her lifeless form in the frantic efforts of her friends, but it felt distant, almost like watching a scene from above. Her focus was on the light, an overwhelming presence of warmth, love, and peace that surrounded her. When her body finally responded to the resuscitation efforts, it was nothing short of miraculous. Those present were stunned, not only by the return of her heartbeat, but also by the fact that she regained consciousness without any immediate signs of damage. Her recovery left everyone, including medical professionals, baffled. Yet for Dr. Neal, the true miracle lay in what she had experienced on the other side. For Dr. Neal, the transition from the physical to the spiritual realm was not just seamless, it was transformative. She described entering a space bathed in light, a light that was more than illumination. It was alive, a presence so profound and loving that it transcended all human understanding. This light, she explained, enveloped her completely. It wasn't just a visual phenomenon, but an all-encompassing sensation that filled her with indescribable peace. She felt no fear, pain, or attachment to her physical body. Instead, there was an overwhelming sense of being home. The presence communicated with her, not through words, but through immediate and total understanding. Thoughts and emotions were exchanged in an instant, bypassing the need for language. Dr. Neal realized she was in a realm where time didn't exist. Everything felt eternal yet immediate, as though she had stepped out of the constraints of earthly existence. The light revealed truths to her, not in fragments, but as a complete and undeniable knowing. She felt the essence of love in its purest form, a love so powerful that it erased all doubts, fears, and uncertainties. In the radiant realm she found herself in, Dr. Neal encountered beings she identified as angels. These luminous entities exuded a kind of love and wisdom that surpassed anything she had ever experienced. They were not human-like in form, yet their presence felt deeply familiar and comforting. The angels, as she called them, surrounded her with care and guidance. They didn't speak but communicated through feelings and insights that flowed directly into her consciousness. It was as though they were preparing her for something greater, gently guiding her toward the heart of her experience. Their love was unconditional and infinite, erasing any sense of fear or loss. As she observed them, she felt a deep connection, as if these beings had always been with her. They radiated peace and understanding, assuring her that she was not alone. Dr. Neal felt embraced by their presence, which filled her with a sense of profound safety and belonging. It was through their guidance that she realized she was about to meet an even greater presence, the essence of God. As Dr. Mary Neal was guided by the radiant beings she identified as angels, she became aware of an even greater presence, one she would later describe as the essence of God. This encounter was the most profound and transformative aspect of her near-death experience. The light that had surrounded her became even more brilliant, yet it did not overwhelm her. Instead, it enveloped her in an indescribable warmth, love, and understanding. Dr. Neal explained that this presence did not communicate through spoken words, but through a deep, all-encompassing knowing. Thoughts, emotions, and truths were imparted to her instantaneously, bypassing language or interpretation. She felt completely understood and accepted, as though the very essence of her being was seen and loved without conditions. In this divine presence, she experienced a sense of purpose and connection far beyond her earthly existence. She later described it as an encounter with pure love, the kind of love that is infinite, unconditional, and all-encompassing. There was no judgment, only an overwhelming sense of peace and belonging. This experience left her feeling that she was part of something far greater than herself, a universal plan that transcended human understanding. The presence showed her glimpses of her life, not as a series of events, but as a tapestry woven with meaning and purpose. She felt a deep sense of clarity about her role on Earth, as well as a profound gratitude for the life she had lived. Yet, even as she basked in this divine connection, she was given a clear message. It was not her time to stay. She had more work to do on Earth, and she needed to return. While surrounded by divine light and the loving presence of angels, Dr. Mary Neal received a clear message that she could not remain in the heavenly realm. The beings around her communicated that her journey on earth was far from complete. She had a purpose to fulfill, one that required her to return to her physical body and continue her work. Dr. Neal described the moment as bittersweet. The peace, love, and joy she experienced were unlike anything she had ever known, and the thought of leaving that realm was painful. Yet the message was firm. Her mission on earth was not finished. The beings conveyed this with gentleness but also with a sense of urgency. She understood that her return was not just for her own sake, but for others whose lives she would impact in the years to come. The message also carried a sense of trust. Dr. Neal felt reassured that her earthly life, with all its challenges and uncertainties, was part of a larger plan. The beings gave her glimpses of what her work might entail, though the details were not entirely clear. What stood out to her was the understanding that her experience in this divine realm would serve as a source of strength and guidance when she returned to her earthly life. Despite her reluctance, Dr. Neal accepted this directive. The sense of love and purpose she felt gave her the courage to leave the heavenly realm and re-enter her physical body, even though she knew it would be a difficult transition. When Dr. Neal's lifeless body was finally resuscitated, it was nothing short of a miracle. From a medical standpoint, her survival defied logic. After spending more than 15 minutes submerged underwater, the chances of recovery without severe brain damage were virtually non-existent. Yet not only did she regain consciousness, but she did so with no lasting neurological impairment. The rescue team, consisting of her friends and local paramedics, worked tirelessly to revive her. As they performed CPR, they held on to a faint glimmer of hope, despite knowing the odds were stacked against her. When her body finally responded, the collective relief was palpable, though it was also accompanied by disbelief. How could someone survive such an ordeal, let alone recover so completely? Dr. Neal later described the moment she returned to her body as jarring. The peace and love she had felt in the divine realm were replaced by the physical sensations of pain and discomfort. She felt the weight of her body again, along with the gravity of the situation she had just survived. Despite this, she carried with her a profound sense of gratitude and awe for the second chance she had been given. Her recovery process was marked by reflections on her experience. While those around her marveled at the medical improbability of her survival, Dr. Neal focused on the spiritual insights she had gained. She realized that her return was purposeful and that the divine message she had received would shape the rest of her life. Dr. Mary Neal's near-death experience fundamentally changed the way she viewed life, death, and her purpose on Earth. Before the accident, she was a dedicated orthopedic surgeon whose life revolved around the physical and measurable aspects of medicine. After her return, her understanding of existence expanded to include the spiritual and the eternal. One of the most profound shifts she experienced was her newfound appreciation for life. Every moment, no matter how mundane, felt imbued with meaning and significance. She no longer saw challenges and hardships as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and connection. Her faith, which had always been a part of her life, deepened in ways she could not have imagined. Dr. Neal also began to see her medical practice differently. While she continued to rely on her scientific training, she also approached her patients with a renewed sense of compassion and understanding. She believed that healing was not just a physical process but also a spiritual one. Her experience gave her the ability to connect with her patients on a deeper level, offering them hope and comfort in ways she never had before. Her relationships with family and friends also transformed. She became more present, more patient, and more attuned to the needs of those around her. The love she had experienced in the divine realm became a guiding force in her interactions, reminding her to treat every person with kindness and respect. For years after her near-death experience, Dr. Mary Neal hesitated to share her story publicly. While she spoke about it with close friends and family, she was reluctant to open up to a wider audience. She feared that her account might be dismissed or misunderstood, particularly given her background as a medical professional. How could someone so deeply rooted in science speak credibly about something so profoundly spiritual? It wasn't until years later, when she felt a growing sense of responsibility that Dr. Neal decided to write her book, To Heaven and Back. She realized that her story had the potential to inspire and comfort others who were grappling with questions about life, death, and what lies beyond. The book became a bestseller, resonating with readers from all walks of life. Dr. Neal's decision to share her experience was not without challenges. She faced skepticism from some quarters, particularly within the medical community, where her account was viewed as unscientific. Yet she remained steadfast, believing that her story was too important to keep to herself. By sharing it, she hoped to bridge the gap between the physical and the spiritual, encouraging others to explore the deeper mysteries of existence. Her journey from a private individual to a public figure was marked by courage and conviction. Through her book, interviews, and lectures, Dr. Neal became a beacon of hope for those seeking answers, proving that even in the face of skepticism, the truth of her experience could not be silenced. While Dr. Mary Neal's near-death experience primarily focused on the overwhelming love and peace she encountered in the divine realm, she carried a hidden aspect of her vision that she kept secret for years. This part of her experience involved a prophetic glimpse into the future of the United States. At first, she struggled to make sense of the images and impressions she had received. They were vivid and impactful but felt unrelated to her immediate life or surroundings. Dr. Neal recalled being shown scenes of great turmoil, division, and upheaval. The images depicted a society grappling with deep internal conflict, where the moral and spiritual fabric of the nation appeared to be fraying. At the heart of this chaos was the rise of a leader who seemed completely out of place, a disruptor who would challenge the status quo and force the nation to confront its hidden truths. Initially, Dr. Neal chose not to share this part of her vision. She was unsure how it fit into the larger message she had received and feared that it might be too controversial. However, as time passed and events began to unfold in the world around her, she felt an undeniable pull to reveal what she had seen. She believed that this vision was part of the larger divine message she had been entrusted with, a message of spiritual awakening and transformation. Dr. Neal's vision of a future leader was unlike anything she had expected. During her near-death experience, she was shown a figure who would rise to prominence during a time of great societal division. This leader was not what people anticipated. They were unconventional, polarizing, and surrounded by controversy. Yet, their presence was undeniably significant, acting as both a catalyst for upheaval and an instrument of divine purpose. As she later reflected on her vision, Dr. Neal felt that this leader was not chosen by the people in the traditional sense, but placed in their position as part of a larger plan. The role of this individual was to disrupt entrenched systems and expose the deeper issues that had long gone unnoticed. While the leader's actions and demeanor often caused division, Dr. Neal saw this as part of the divine process, a necessary step to bring about transformation and renewal. Her interpretation of this vision became more specific following the 2016 U.S. presidential election, when Donald Trump was elected as president. Dr. Neal felt that the traits and circumstances surrounding Trump aligned closely with the leader she had seen in her vision. This realization deepened her conviction that her experience was not just a personal revelation, but a glimpse into a larger spiritual narrative. In her vision, Dr. Neal understood that the controversial leader was not meant to be viewed as a traditional hero or savior, but as a tool for divine disruption. The leader's role was to shake the foundations of society, exposing hidden corruption and forcing people to confront uncomfortable truths. While this process would be painful and chaotic, it was ultimately intended to pave the way for renewal and growth. Dr. Neal likened this leader to a wrecking ball, a force that might appear destructive but was necessary to clear the way for something better. She believed that God often works through unexpected means, choosing individuals who defy conventional expectations to fulfill divine purposes. This perspective helped her reconcile the polarizing nature of the leader with the larger spiritual plan she had glimpsed during her near-death experience. Her vision emphasized that the disruption caused by this leader was not an end in itself, but part of a transformative process. Dr. Neal felt that the American people were being called to reflect deeply on their values, priorities, and relationships with one another. The chaos and division she witnessed in her vision were a spiritual test, challenging the nation to rise above its differences and embrace truth, justice, and unity. When Dr. Neal began to speak publicly about the prophetic aspects of her near-death experience, she faced significant backlash. Many people were deeply skeptical of her claims, particularly when she associated her vision with contemporary political events. Critics accused her of projecting her personal beliefs onto her spiritual experience, arguing that near-death visions are often shaped by cultural and psychological factors. Even some of her supporters, who found inspiration in her descriptions of heaven and divine love, struggled to accept the political implications of her vision. They felt that mixing politics with spirituality could dilute the purity of her message and alienate those who might otherwise find comfort in her account. This criticism weighed heavily on Dr. Neal, but she remained steadfast in her conviction that she had a responsibility to share what she had seen. Despite the controversy, Dr. Neal found support among those who viewed her story as a sign of hope and divine intervention. For these individuals, her vision affirmed their belief that God is actively involved in the affairs of the world, guiding events toward a greater purpose. The polarizing nature of her message reflected the deep divisions within society, but it also sparked important conversations about faith, spirituality, and the intersection of divine will and human action. Dr. Neal interpreted the chaotic events she had seen in her vision as a spiritual test for the United States. She believed that the division and conflict were not merely political but deeply rooted in the moral and spiritual struggles of the nation. The leader she saw was not the focus of the test but a catalyst, forcing the country to confront its hidden issues and make critical choices about its future. In her vision, Dr. Neal sensed that the turmoil was a necessary step in a process of purification. It was a time for the nation to reflect on its values and priorities, to choose between paths of division and unity, truth and deception, justice and corruption. The test was not about any one individual or political ideology, but about the collective character of the people and their willingness to embrace higher spiritual principles. She felt that this period of testing was a call to action for everyone, urging them to rise above their differences and work toward a more just and compassionate society. While the process would be painful, Dr. Neal believed that it held the potential for profound spiritual awakening and renewal. Her message to the nation was clear: trust in the divine plan, even in the midst of chaos, and strive to embody the love and wisdom she had experienced in the presence of God. Dr. Mary Neal's vision left her with a profound understanding of the unpredictability of divine plans. She saw firsthand that God's ways often defy human logic and expectations. The leader she witnessed in her vision was not a figure anyone would have anticipated or chosen, yet their rise to prominence was clearly part of a larger divine narrative. This realization challenged Dr. Neal's own assumptions and biases. She came to understand that what may seem chaotic, disruptive, or even distressing to humans could be a necessary component of a higher plan. The vision reminded her, and those she shared it with, that divine intervention often takes forms that are unfamiliar or uncomfortable. God, she believed, uses unexpected tools and people to fulfill purposes that are beyond human comprehension. Dr. Neal's experience was a call to humility, faith, and openness. She urged others to resist the temptation to judge divine plans through a limited earthly lens. Instead, she encouraged people to trust in the wisdom of a higher power, even when circumstances seemed inexplicable or unsettling. Dr. Neal's vision of chaos and division was unsettling, yet she was struck by the underlying sense of purpose behind it. The turmoil she witnessed was not random or meaningless. It was part of a transformative process designed to bring about growth and renewal. This perspective gave her hope, even as she grappled with the challenges of sharing such a controversial message. She described the chaos as a refining fire, one that burns away impurities to reveal something purer and stronger underneath. The societal upheaval, she believed, was a necessary step toward a collective awakening. It was a time for people to confront their fears, biases, and weaknesses, and to choose paths of greater integrity and truth. For Dr. Neal, the message was clear. The struggles of the moment were temporary, but the lessons and growth they inspired would have lasting impact. Her vision offered reassurance that, even in the darkest times, there is a divine hand guiding humanity toward a brighter future. Dr. Neal's message was not one of division, but of unity and faith. While the events she saw in her vision highlighted the deep divides within society, they also revealed the potential for healing and reconciliation. She believed that the challenges facing humanity were an opportunity to come together, to rise above differences, and to embrace a shared spiritual purpose. Her experience in the divine realm taught her that love is the ultimate force binding all of creation. This love, she felt, was the key to overcoming the turmoil she had witnessed. By focusing on compassion, understanding, and mutual respect, people could navigate the trials of the moment and emerge stronger and more united. Dr. Neal emphasized that faith was essential during times of uncertainty. Trusting in the divine plan, even when it seemed unclear, was a way to find strength and hope. Her vision was a call for people to place their faith not in human institutions or leaders, but in the higher wisdom that guides all things. Dr. Mary Neal's near-death experience left an indelible mark on her life and on those who have heard her story. Her journey from life to death and back again was more than a miraculous survival. It was a profound encounter with the divine that reshaped her understanding of existence. Her experiences bridged the gap between science and spirituality, offering insights that challenged conventional perspectives on life and death. Through her book, public speaking, and interviews, Dr. Neal became a voice of hope and inspiration. She shared her story not to convince skeptics, but to provide comfort and guidance to those seeking answers about the afterlife and the nature of God. Her willingness to speak about her vision, despite the backlash it provoked, demonstrated her commitment to the truth she experienced. Dr. Neal's story continues to resonate with audiences worldwide, serving as a reminder of the profound mysteries of existence and the enduring power of faith. Her message encourages people to look beyond the surface of events, to trust in the unseen forces shaping their lives, and to find meaning even in the most challenging circumstances. The culmination of Dr. Mary Neal's journey is a powerful message of trust and hope. Her vision showed her that even in the midst of chaos and division, there is a greater purpose unfolding. While the events she witnessed were unsettling, they were also imbued with a sense of divine intention, a plan designed to guide humanity toward a deeper understanding of truth, love, and unity. Dr. Neal urged people to look beyond the immediate challenges of their lives and to trust in the wisdom of a higher power. Her experience was a reminder that the trials of today are part of a larger story, one that is ultimately leading toward renewal and awakening. By holding on to faith and embracing love, she believed humanity could navigate even the darkest times and emerge stronger and more united. Her story remains a testament to the enduring power of faith, the mystery of divine intervention, and the boundless potential of the human spirit to grow and transform in the face of adversity.